Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast. Good morning. Thank you. I'm Reverend Theresa and I'm really happy to be here with you this morning. We have something new, something different planned for you today. We've talked about, Annie Cedarberg and I have talked about doing this for years, and we're finally pulling it off today. So I'm very excited about it. You know, if you ask me about life, what is life? Where is it? How does it work? I have a whole bunch to say. I have a lot to say to you. If you ask me about death, if you ask me what death is, where do we go when we die? Do we come back? Do we go on? Is it the end? You might think I'd have a lot to say. You might think I'd have a lot to say, right? You might think that. Because I'm a minister, because I've studied for a long time, because I've read a lot of books. I've read a lot of books. I have a master's degree in consciousness. I'm not going to tell you today all about or what death is. What I'm going to do, what Annie and I are going to do, is offer you some ideas. And the reason why I don't know is because I'm not a dead minister, right? I know about life. I know about life. And when my dad died 10 years ago, it was almost to the day, it was this weekend, 10 years ago, the first thing out of my mouth was, oh my gosh, Dad knows the mystery. Dad knows the mystery. Dad knows the mystery. I just got very excited. I was standing in front of my sister, my mother, my stepfather, and they're looking at me like I'm crazy, but I really was excited because my father had been afraid to die. And I had talked to him a lot about that. So I was very excited for him because he knew the mystery. He knew the mystery, you know? So it is a mystery. But there's a lot of theology, there's a lot of religions, cultural views on it. Even scientists will tell you they know what death is. I had one of those teachers, Amit Goswami. We had several classes on what death is. Today, it's not about solving that riddle. It's not about that. It's not about solving the riddle. It's about experiencing something that maybe we've not given ourselves time to experience. It's about honoring people that have gone before us, people that have inspired us, people in our families. It's about us opening our hearts and our minds to greater possibilities than what we've already known, and to open our hearts and minds to continuing connections with folks that have passed on. Yeah. Really, all that's about the fullness of life in my mind. So we're going into the mystic. We're going into the mystic. And you were invited to bring pictures of your loved ones with you today. So we've set up these altar areas. There's plenty of space on this table and around these tables, on the tops of these. Please put your pictures where you feel welcome as the music begins playing. And let us just know together that as we celebrate this thing called life, like we do every single Sunday, that this Sunday we include some time for that mystery, the mysterious, the mystery of when the veil is thin, which is said to be this time of year, that the veil is thin between life and death. I affirm for each one of us that we set sacred space here this morning, a space where we are free to explore in consciousness that mystery, to feel into, to open in ways maybe that we've never allowed ourselves to do, and to recognize the allness, the closeness of spirit, that which gives life, that which is eternal life, that which is all around us, in which we find ourselves right here, right now, immersed in, filled with, moved by. experiencing more of. Let us honor and celebrate our feelings and the life of our ancestors, people who have inspired us, maybe known or unknown, and claim the holiness in this process for ourselves and each other. And so it is.
We were born before the wind, also younger than the sun. Ere the bonny boat was won, as we sail into the mystic. That foghorn blows, I will be coming home. When that foghorn whistle blows, I want to hear it. I don't have to fear it, and I want to rock your gypsy soul. Just like way back in the days of old, you and I will float into the mystic. That's Jacob sitting in on trumpet today.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Ann Cedarberg, or Annie. You can call me Annie. And I'm here to talk about the Day of the Dead in different cultures through the eons, and I have 13 minutes. So I went down the rabbit hole because I really am intrigued with all of this. But the basic things I want to share are that many cultures around the world, both in the past and now, honor their dead at this time of year. And why is that? How many people lived up north at some point? Yeah, that should give us a clue, right? So we are in the place in our travel around the sun where, every day, there's 365 days to get around the sun on the earth. Every day is different, and we cover tremendous ground. Every day, the lighting is different. There's the intensity of the sun is different, the angle, where it's focused, and that's what gives us our seasons. At this particular time of year, we are at a place where we are experiencing fall. And if you lived up north, and you were like me, you enjoyed the beautiful colored leaves, and then they fell off. And it looked like death. The trees, they kind of went into their own hibernation. The grasses died and so on. So it was a really physical representation of what death looks like. Now, the ancients were very smart, and they were very observant. So as they knew that time was cyclical, and as we were going around the sun, over time, they figured out how to make their own calendars. And they figured out, we've been through this before. So there were times when there were more hours of daylight, and there were times when there were less. There were times when it was about even. So if you think of the winter solstice, that's when we have most hours of darkness. And then you think of the spring equinox 3 months later. We've covered a lot of ground, and the hours of day and night are about the same at that point. Well, that's a big difference, right? From the maximum darkness to pretty balanced. Well, the ancients put in they're like road signs along the way around the sun. So we have the solstices, the two extremes. We have the equinoxes when there's equal light and equal dark. And then there are cross-quarter days. And the cross-quarter days happen right in the middle between an equinox and a solstice. And that's when we can really see the transition happening. So have you noticed, in the last week or so, it's really getting dark early. Things are changing. Well, this happens to be a cross-quarter day that's called Samhain. It's spelled like Samhain, but it's an old Gaelic word, Samhain. And it means end of summer. And the ancient Irish and Scottish would have festivals of the dead at this time of year because they were far enough north that it looked dead, right? Good time to honor the dead. Plus, they were about to go into winter, so any livestock that they might have had, they would slaughter to preserve for food to get them through the dark winter. These people didn't have central air and central heating. So it was a matter of survival for them to know where they were in the year. Now, in Samhain, the Festival of the Dead, it was said that the veil was thin, the veil between the living and the dead. Well, what is that? Is it a real thing? Is it something physical? Well, they not only paid attention to the environment here on Earth, they watched the stars. And on Samhain every year, right above, right directly in the middle of the sky, were the Pleiades. And they believed that the Pleiades somehow thinned the veil and that the spirits of the dead could come back and interact with the living. This kind of scared people. So people would put on costumes to disguise themselves. And maybe costumes that were scary to scare away any evil spirits. Does that sound familiar? And the spirits were said to come out at sunset, and then they would go back to the other realm at midnight. And the people would feel safe for another year. So By the year 700 AD, the Christian church was organized enough that they started a new holiday, and because it was honoring the saints and martyrs who had died, they put it right there at Samhain. And it was to honor those, evolved beings. And so that was the beginning of Christianity coming into this time of year. 400 years later, in the 1100s, the church came up with another holiday called All Souls Day, and that was for us regular people. And it evolved into this idea that when people passed, they went to purgatory, which was like a holding area, and they had to be prayed out of that. By the 1400s, the Romans decreed that people had to observe these two holidays, and that was the beginning of Samhain really changing, although you can tell already that a lot of what we celebrate at Halloween has its roots in Samhain. So one of the things that happened in the 1400s when everybody had to observe these things was that the people who celebrated Samhain, who were the country folk, they were the ones connected to the earth. They would go from house to house and beg for soul cakes, which were a cake that had hazelnuts and berries in them. And for each soul cake that they received, they would say a prayer for the dead in hopes that the dead could then move out of purgatory and on to heaven. Well, the things with purgatory and the All Souls Day got really intense and complicated. People had to go to church about 8 times on November the 2nd, which is All Souls Day, and pray for these people. So that was a lot of work, and you had to set aside time to do all these things. So the church started All Hallows Eve, which was it was a vigil, and it was a time to prepare for the honoring of the saints and the honoring and the prayers to help the dead move on. So that got shortened into Halloween, and still today has some of Samhain with it. So, I mean, we saw trick or treat in there, right? Costumes, scary things. And the bad spirits, the evil spirits that might have come through did mischief. So, we can translate that to TPing houses and smashing pumpkins and things of that sort that sometimes happens today, at least where I grew up. So today, because of the spread of Catholicism, All Saints' Day is honored and celebrated throughout Europe and in Latin America. And it's a time when they honor the saints. But it's also a time now where people go to the graves of their loved ones. They clean them off, they put flowers and wreaths. And in some cases, like my ancestors are from Sweden, they go at night and they put candles on the graves. And so the cemeteries are all lit up. And that happens in Portugal, too. By the way, the kids in Portugal have started trick-or-treating and stuff. So they're having some of that fun stuff. So, and throughout the Caribbean and Latin America, people honor their dead. Now, the one that we're probably the most familiar with is Dia de los Muertos. I told myself I would learn to pronounce this. The Mexican Day of the Dead. And we are starting to see more and more of that here in the United States. And even though some of the symbols are the same, like skeletons, it's not the Mexican Halloween. It's a family-oriented holiday that's sacred. It's a time of year when that veil is supposedly thin and their dead ones, their dead loved ones can come and be with the family. And on the altars, they make these tremendous altars called ofrendas. They're really beautiful. It takes time for them. They prepare, they tell stories, and so on. On the altar, they put pictures, they put candles, they put flowers, they put specific flowers like marigolds. Marigolds to the Aztecs meant death. So that's why they are often on the altar. Sometimes people would take the petals of marigolds and line the path to their house for their dearly departed to find their way home. On November the 1st, they honor the children who have passed. And they go to the grave, they clean it up, they put flowers, there are stories that are told, there's food and so on. And on November the 2nd, it's for the adults who have passed. And on that altar, they might also have mementos, they might have water, like we have here, and the water symbolized the dead quenching their thirst from their long journey from the other world to the world of the living. They had bread, a certain bread that they would make called bread of the dead. It's got a Spanish name that I can't pronounce, but it's a traditional bread. They have sugar skulls, and these skulls are, of course, they're made of sugar, so they're sweet. They represent the sweetness of life. And on the foreheads, they write the name of the deceased, and they have those on the altar. They have tissue paper cutouts that kind of billow like the wind is coming through. They have calaveras, the little skeletons that are like little sculptures. Maybe they're walking the dog or they're playing a guitar or something, and that symbolizes that life goes on for the people who have passed. They also, starting about 100 years ago, they have La Catrina, who is elegantly dressed. So they make these dolls, and she's got all these beautiful clothes, and she's a skeleton. And then she has a male counterpart, which I believe is Catran, and is dressed in a nice suit and is a skeleton. And that was a satire on wealthy people, and that I guess you can't take it with you, you know? We're all gonna wind up there. But the whole thing is very festive, and it's very honoring. They tell stories and so on. So that's something that's going on today, and it goes on throughout Latin America. I do want to say in Guatemala, they make huge kites of beautiful material, and on the tails of the kites, they write prayers and hopes and wishes for the dead. And as the kites are flying, then the dead can read them. So all these things are going on today. I just want to leave you with a couple of other ideas of like, how can we honor this? You know, indigenous people have always revered and honored their ancestors, and they ask for their guidance and their wisdom. They include them in their ceremonies, and they're often with the land that the people live on. And that's something that we can do. You know, we can honor our ancestors, we can remember them. We can take out photographs, we can take out, you know, maybe we have stories or poems about them. And we can remember these people and pass on their stories. My mom is 95, and she tells wonderful stories of growing up. She grew up without running water or electricity. Very different life. She was in a really rural area. And we all love her stories, so I've begun to write them down so that over time we can remember, you know, our heritage. So this remembering of the ancestors gives us a sense of belonging and guidance, and I believe we can talk to them. There are people who, when they lose someone close to them, they go into such profound grief that they're not able to move on. And there's a new therapy that's a few years old. University of North Texas, I think, is where some research has been done. It's called Induced Afterlife Communication Therapy, where they help people through automatic writing or visualization or whatever to reconnect with the loved ones who've passed. Now, I heard John Edward, the psychic and medium, talk, and he said this line, it changed me. He said, people grieve because they feel they've lost the physical object of their love and their affection. So it's kind of like those leaves falling off. One minute it's loud. One minute the leaves are beautiful and alive, and the next minute they're on the ground. It's really abrupt. One minute someone is full of life, and the next minute they're gone. But are they? And so the idea is to continue the relationship and continue the love coming from us. Continue the ability to love, even if we can't see these folks. And I think that's a beautiful idea. It's helped me with my own grief. In closing, I just want to say this afternoon, we're going to meet outside, probably right out in here. And we're going to share some stories with each other of maybe seeing our loved ones after their death or things that happened while they were dying, kind of afterlife kind of stories. And it should be very uplifting. It'll be a chance for us to share those medicine stories with each other. And now I have a real fun thing to do, because I get to introduce Diana Wyatt, good friend of mine and all of ours. And Diana is playing a song that I wrote. And I have never had anybody sing my song. And she's doing a great job. It's a quirky song, I will warn you. But I did some one-woman shows where I told stories about people who had passed and experiences I had had. It was called Heaven All Around Us, and this was the title of the song.
Thank you, Mary. Wow, I have been educated. Thank you. They told me heaven was outside me, on a cloud someplace could not be seen. Pearly gates, harp-playing angels, run by this big bearded guy. He was sometimes kind of mean. Wait a minute, that doesn't feel right. Wait a minute, what does my heart say? Wait a minute, tells me something different. I can hear it clear each and every single day. It says, heaven, heaven's all around us. Heaven inside of us as well. Heaven, if heaven's rounding in us. If heaven's rounding in us, oh my God, where is hell? Afraid of hell, I look deep within me, clean up my pain real good, move right ahead. No longer scared of hell, I set my sights on heaven. But in somewhere heaven, you just go there, right? When you're dead? My heart said, heaven, heaven's all around me. Heaven, not just confined to outer space. Heaven, heaven's all around us. Heaven's every time, and heaven can be in every place. Quite a journey, this understanding heaven. Can't say I got it yet, but what a life I've lived. I know heaven, it's all around me, and I don't have to wait till someday when I'm dead. I can see heaven, heaven all around me. Heaven in every breath that I take. Heaven through love and thought and action. Heaven, I'll make heaven every choice that I make. Let's make heaven, heaven all around us. Heaven every breath that we take. Heaven, heaven all around us. We'll make heaven all around us every choice that we make. Heaven, heaven all around us. Heaven as far as I can see. Heaven, heaven rounding in us. heaven all around us here and now in you and me. Annie Cedarberg.
Hi, I'm David Immerman, and I'm going to be reading something I wrote upon the death of my younger brother in 1981 at the age of 29 from complications of hepatitis. This was what I read as memorial service. It's called Eulogy for Bob. I can't see you. I can't stop seeing you. I can't see you here now. I see you like all the Bobs I remember knowing, marching past my eyes in an erratic procession, all casting images, all casting feelings, projecting fantasies, reflections, identifications, associations. Seeing you alive, seeing you dead, seeing you alive now in dreams and memories, seeing you dead now still in 2 dimensions. From seeing you alive, a little baby with a belly button that looked like number 9, to seeing you dead when I went to say goodbye. Seeing Bob's body that is no longer you. From little Bobby, who sang sweetly with dreams beyond his drive, with unsaid words and private feelings, to the Bob we have yet to more to learn from, but are no longer with. From the Bob who shared all his wares, who shared his cares with those he chose, with those who chose him, to our collective respect for a man who will continue to remind us. From naughty Bob, who always got caught, to the Bob whose days were numbered. From the Bob who was cornered by life's crazy lumps, swallowing the blows, assimilating the fire, to the Bob whose liver would assimilate nothing. From the Bob who loved his woman, his family, his friends, to the love we now share in, to the loss we now share in. From the beautiful secret world we invented when we were young under the blankets late at night, to the dream I had last night of everybody joining us under the covers. From the Bob who hardly ever screamed, to the Bob who died softly, quietly. From the Bob whose heart was a river to swim in, to the network of people now in this room. I can't see you. I can't stop seeing you. I don't want to stop seeing you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thanks, David. And Annie, thank you. Diana, just got some good stuff going on and some beautiful people up here, some very loved people in these pictures. Annie talked about the practices of praying for the saints, praying for people, you know, that resembles the ancients praying for gods and goddesses or to gods and goddesses. The Roman Catholic Church, which is the church I grew up in, had some of the big cathedrals have the side chapels, you know, and they're dedicated to individual saints for specific, for their expertise, in travel or fertility, whatever it was, right? And that's not much different than the Hindu temples that they have with the shrines to multiple gods and goddesses. I'm always so elated, really excited about all the commonalities through our cultures and our religions. I love pulling that thread, which is what Ernest Holmes did, the founder of this teaching, The Science of Mind. So some people kind of have an idea that we don't really teach about death, or they wonder because we don't talk about it that much. So what we are is silent on mandates around death. We don't believe in sin. There's not things you have to do to be able to earn a place in the forever ever land, right? We don't have anything like that. But he was not silent on the subject of life and death, not by any means at all. He had quite a bit of opinion on the matter. Just last week, I think it was last week or the week before, I read the Declaration of Principles. And in the Declaration of Principles, you heard, conversation, words about the unity of all life and the direct revelation of life, of spirit, of God, of whatever that creative intelligence is, in, as, and through those that are close, that have a practice of being close, that have a practice of being open. You heard me say that we believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. Specifically, he talks about immortality and says that we not only continue after this life, but with the same memories, with the personality, if you will, intact, retaining, he said, everything that makes for the warmth and color of the human personality. I know that's comforting to people to hear, and that we carry our entire consciousness with us, from birth to grave, before birth, after grave, right? It's a continuous stream of consciousness then. And with the ability to be known, to know and be known, he said, to be seen and to see and to hear, right? To commune with each other. So he was talking what some physics talks today, wasn't he? If you study energy, energy doesn't die, right? It simply changes form. And so that, of course, was in fact what he was saying. He believed in a non-local mind. That's consciousness, one mind, one stream of consciousness that we all have individual use of. I buy into that, because aren't there times where you think something and you're like, where did that thought come from? Oh, the guy next to you had that thought, right? There's a soup that we're all participating in, that collective consciousness, the collective unconsciousness, a stream of consciousness, right? A stream of consciousness. And we know that it's not the brain that's thinking, right? Science has told us that. Ernest Holmes talked about it, that there's something beyond the body for when the body ceases to exist, when it's no longer viable, right? So mind, non-local, not just right here, transcendent, yet immanent. Does it blow your mind thinking about it? I love all this. I just love this stuff. And we're spirits now. Like we don't have to wait for that time to really feel into the magnificence, the continuity of this thing called life. Because it truly doesn't end. We're just as much spirit today as we ever will be. I really believe the statement that Ernest Holmes made, that when he said that we can see, hear, and know beyond physical senses. I believe that. I've had that experience. Haven't you had that experience of knowing, seeing, hearing beyond what was objectively right in front of you? Of course, we've all had that experience, right? Well, he goes on to say that we can communicate, we can travel, we can exist independently of the physical body. I believe that as well. Yeah. So, specific things that you might be wondering about. What did he say about reincarnation? Well, he didn't believe in reincarnation. But there were ministers all around him, ministers he had trained, ministers he had ordained, that did believe in reincarnation. And he said, that's fine. That's fine. For him, he didn't buy into it for the sheer reason that he said life is eternally doing this. It is eternally getting more. We're always becoming greater, not less than who we are. We don't go back, we go forward. So that was his thinking. You may be on the fence about that one, or you may have a very different opinion, which is okay in this teaching, which is why I'm here. It's okay to have differences of opinion. His idea on heaven and hell, boy, I buy into this. States of consciousness that we're experiencing today. Yes? Are we not? We experience heaven, those blissful days when everything's going right. And we experience hell. Yeah. States of consciousness. We can usually track it to that, can't we? Yeah, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, how's your day going to be? Unless you do some serious work. Yep, there it is right there. It's that simple. It's that simple. So we all have these experiences. Now, many people believe that we need intermediators to have those experiences. We may, like Annie spoke, there may be times where we're so filled with grief that we do need help connecting to other people that have passed, or just being able to think for ourselves. Sometimes we do need a little bit of guidance and a little bit of help. But it's not necessary. I don't believe that it's necessary. In his later years, Ernest Holmes died in 1960, and in 1959 he had an experience which I'll talk about in a minute. But he spent years of study and then years and years and years in silence. You know, some days, 5, 6 hours, 8 hours, he wouldn't come out of his room, that kind of thing. In silence, in meditation, in deep prayer, in communion. In communion. So in 1959, he was at the Whittier Church doing a dedication for the church. And kind of was whipping himself into a frenzy, talking about who we are as individuals, who we are collectively, what the power is of our thought, what the power is of us being able to change our circumstances, change our lives, affect the world around us in very positive ways. And he was getting himself very excited, about how close Spirit is to us all the time, the availability of that power to us at all times. And he said, so close is the union of creation with the Creator that it is impossible to tell where one ends and one begins. So close. And about that time, his voice started going and giving way. And he stumbled a little bit, and he said, yeah, the veil is thin. Oh my God, the veil is thin. I shall speak no more. I believe in the continuation of the personal beyond the grave, the continuation of the individual stream of consciousness. So what I'd like to do is just to take you very quickly into a little meditation here. And you may have brought a picture, and this may be the person you want to bring to mind. And if you didn't, there may be someone to bring to mind that you love, that you don't see in physical form anymore, and you would love to feel a deeper connection. There may be someone you've never met before, whose life inspires you, who lifts you in your activities and your thoughts throughout your day. Someone who seems to be a guide during your day. Kind of a lighthouse for who you want to be and how you want to show up. Whoever this person is for you, bring them into mind now. And let us see if we can tap into that atmosphere of that presence, that individual person's presence. There is something about this person, again, whether we brought a picture or you have a picture in your mind's eye. It's a bond. It's an attraction. Feel into what that is. Whether this quality is one of unconditional love or peace, a person that exudes peace, or maybe it's someone who never seemed to have a fear, that really went with gusto to life and accomplished and created. Bring that feeling beyond just the picture of their person into your body, into your heart and mind, feeling it expand. Know with me that there is absolutely nothing that binds or limits that quality within you. I affirm right here and right now that there is no lack, no limitation, no boundary or border surrounding this quality, this way of being and moving in the world. Feel yourself immersed, surrounded by, lifted, made of this very quality that you so admire in this other person. And give them thanks. Feel that sense of deep gratitude for the recognition within yourself of how good it feels to be in this awareness, in this quality, to know that you too embody this divine ideal. Filled with gratitude. Seek any wisdom, share your love, whatever feels appropriate to you now. Speak that within your heart and mind, recognizing that there's a seamless, continuous stream of consciousness. No separation. filled with gratitude and embodying this new heightened sense of awareness of who we are, how we show up in the world, what qualities we possess and share and enjoy. We simply say thank you. Thank you. And we return to this room feeling ever more grateful, with an expanded sense of who and what we are. For this, I am so grateful.
I'd like to thank Frankie for putting some really cool music to this song. I'd like to thank Frankie for putting some really cool music to this song, and Kathleen for finding a tape that I was able to listen to a few times to put this together from my heart, from his. So here we go. Do you know where it is you've been? Hanging the stars, riding the wind. You're everywhere, even in my heart. The veil is thin. The other side shining through. I see it glimmer as the eyes of you. Imperfection, perfected by truth. The veil is thin. All that ever was still is, and it is living inside our skin. The mystery where we go from here, I don't know, but I know this. The veil is thin. Oh, the veil is thin. Lightning from their lips, ancestors round the fire dance. We sang a song no one else could hear. The veil was thin. There were colors my eyes can't describe. The dead are really alive. They know my name as I know them. 'Cause all that ever was still is, and it is living inside our skin. The mystery where we go from here, I don't know, but I know this. The veil is thin. Oh, the veil is thin. Earnest homes to the state. shining on his face. I have no more words to sing. The very spring. Oh, so
Okay. So, I think we're deeply conscious here. Jake, but I guess we can't hear me. How's this? No? Yeah? We're good? All right. So just one more moment of consciousness. Don't go to sleep in this section. We're talking about offering and supporting our center and building this ministry. So it's what I call conscious giving. So as you prepare your tithe, your gift, your offering, and hold it close, knowing that you are supporting the development and the growth and the expansion of community, common unity, the unity of this community with other communities, that it is all good. So we just take a moment to bless the giver and bless the gift, knowing it is all good, all God, and all done. And so it is.
I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on.
I'm Jennifer Johnston, a member of your Board of Trustees, and it feels different to sing I receive the gift of love and pass it on when we're seeing all these faces up here and I see the joy and the light and the life living through each of us. I'll start our announcements this morning by saying if this is your first time with us, we welcome you and we have a special gift for you. One of our greeters would love to pass along to you a Science of Mind magazine that has been in publication for almost 100 years. We also have copies for sale. The November and December issue is delayed, but it is available online. All announcements are in our newsletter each week, so you can sign up for that weekly email. It talks about classes, it talks about our spiritual living circle, which happens on Wednesday evenings at 7. The link is there, so we encourage you to sign up for that email. Speaking of emails, hopefully you received an email about membership. Now is the time to renew your membership if you're a member, or if you're interested in membership, to read more about it. How many have clicked on that email and said, I'd like to renew or learn more about membership? Good. There are also paper forms here if you need it, and a QR code if it's easier for you to do it here, or come up to one of us if you need help. Next week is our annual meeting party, because we like to turn things into parties. So come on up, Eileen. It's going to be interactive and fun. Our theme is going to be unity and community, an opportunity for you to share ideas and connect with each other. We have one seat on the Board of Trustees that is coming open for renewal. And so if you're interested in that, you can see me or Jerry Bateman, who has her hand raised in the back, or Reverend Theresa. And so next week, of course, you wouldn't be a party without food, so Eileen's going to talk about food.
And don't I love talking about food? We have sign-ups on the table over there. We're doing a little international type of thing We've got, it's all finger foods to make it easier. We can all try everything out. We've got our picnic, USA. We've got Italian, Asian. We also have gluten-free and vegan, because, you know, vegan is a nation, right? We also have compostable platters. So if you don't want to have to take home a dirty dish, stop by and pick up a platter. And if you're not into cooking, I don't know why, but if you're not, there are sign-ups to set up and clean up. And we're going to have a great time.
Thank you, Eileen, and all of our hospitality folks. It'll start right after the service next week.
And just remind people today, like around 1 o'clock.
Yes, and after the service today, we're going to have an opportunity for sharing. Ann Cedarberg talked about it, that we'll be able to gather together, bring food if you have it. There's also food available at the Nest for sale across the way under that white awning. So plan to stay and join us afterward for a time to continue the conversation about connecting with those who are no longer with us. And our practitioner of the day is Reverend Diana, so you can see her for prayer. You can also request prayer via email at prayer@cslculturalcoast.org, and we hope you can stay for coffee and conversation. I'm finished. Would you? Okay, Angelica would like to share one thing.
Hi. I've heard that many of us, or some of us, are parking by the Symphony parking lot, and we really should not be doing that because we never know when they have a performance, and there could be a problem. So parking over here is really better, and there's so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelica. And now we'll turn it back to our house band. Thank you.
All right, this is Karen Drucker. Thank you for this day. If you know it, sing along. If you hear it, join in with us. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This beautiful day. This beautiful day. Thank you for my life, my wonderful life. Thank you for my life, Spirit, thank you for my life. Thank you for my life, Spirit, thank you for my life. My wonderful life. My wonderful life. Thank you for this love, this healing love. Thank you for this love, Spirit, thank you for this love. Thank you for this love, Spirit, thank you for this love. This healing love. This healing love. Thank you for my friends, my wonderful friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. My wonderful friends. My wonderful friends. Thank you for peace, this healing peace. Thank you for this peace, Spirit, thank you for this peace. Thank you for this peace, Spirit, thank you for this peace. This healing peace. peace. This healing, this healing, this healing peace. Thank you for this day, this beautiful day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. One more time. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day.
Be back at 1 o'clock. We're outside.
Dragonfly, iridescence of my lover. Small town, small street. The house is separated by a couple thousand feet. Two hearts, about 16, learning the ways of love. Same church, Sunday school. He loved her, but he tried to play it cool, and she didn't see the way he was captivated from the start. Finally, one day, a glimmer of a chance, he gathered his courage in his coat and he ran.